Today we're gonna do a little Q&A session. I got my questions all here ready to go. So I have a few errands to run, so I'm just going to take you out and about with me and answer questions as I go. So this Q&A thing is something I've been doing for quite a few years. However, I typically do it on Facebook. So I'll just make a post, people will ask questions, and I'll reply right under that question. However, when I went to do it this time, I remembered that a few months ago I did a poll, and I wanted to find out how many people from YouTube are on Facebook or Instagram, and most people are not. So I wanted to do a video this time so you could, ask questions, and you could also hear some of the answers to get to know me a little better. So what I did was I picked 15 questions throughout the 3 platforms, and we are just going to jump right into it. The first question says, I know a lot of people are hesitant about going to Mexico because of all the horror stories about safety, but you seem to go pretty often and you haven't had any issues. Have you ever felt sketched out or unsafe while you were there? No, I have never felt unsafe in Mexico. Ever. Of course, you always need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to have your head on a swivel. But no, I have never felt unsafe in Mexico. I had a similar question about the Dominican Republic. No. The only country that I have ever felt unsafe was Jamaica, and I have gone back since that experience and have had a fine time and have not had any issues. But no, in Mexico, I feel 100% safe. Of course, something could happen anywhere, but I have never had any experiences that were negative. And I really feel sad when people, because I will have a lot of requests come through that say absolutely no Mexico. And sometimes I'll try to dig in a little bit to that, like, why is it no Mexico? Have you just been there 1,000 times, or are you afraid, or whatever? And more times than not, when they say no Mexico, it's just because they've heard bad things from neighbors or in the news or whatever. And that makes me really sad because Mexico is such a beautiful place. I love the Mexican people. Mexico really has a special place in my heart. The next question is, how did you get into being a travel agent? Are there travel perks aside from the free trips that you earn? So I have always traveled. My whole life since I was little, I traveled, and I just continued that when I was older. And I booked with a travel agent when I started doing all-inclusive trips. And so then people really started ramping up and asking me, oh, like, what do you recommend? Where should we go? Where should we stay? And I was putting full trips together for people and then passing them on to my agent. And it was more than a referral. So I definitely appreciate referrals myself. I, get a lot of them and they're lovely. However, I was picking out their flight, their resort, their room, everything, and then passing it on. So basically I was doing like 90% of the job. And I was like, I think I should just look into this. And I had actually asked my travel agent, and she was not hiring anyone. She had a standalone store, and I don't know if she just didn't have space or she just was not interested. I have no idea. But I looked into it for about a year and sort of just one day woke up and decided to make the leap. And it actually was a really great decision for me. I'm very happy. And are there any travel perks? So yes, most brands will offer a discounted stay. However, most of them you can only book within 90 days of your travel, and that just doesn't work for me. I want to know where I'm going. I want to know that I have a confirmed reservation. I also want to be able to select my room. For most of the resorts, you only get the entry-level room. That just doesn't work for me. If I want a club swim out, I want to be able to book a club swim out. Now, there are some really nice brands that allow you to book far in advance and allow you to pick basically every room. And I am trying to take a little bit more advantage of that because I just haven't. I just really have not. And I'm trying to do better about spending less on travel. So I want to get into picking one of those at least once a year so I can try to save some money, but it just doesn't always work out. So for example, in August, we're going to St. Lucia, and I had inquired about their travel agent discount, and they were like, yeah, 90 days out, you know, come back. And so what I did was I put a room on hold, and then at exactly the 90-day mark, I reached out, and all of August was totally blocked off. There was no rooms. So had I waited and not booked my own room and was waiting for a discount, I would not have been able to stay there. So I just don't rely on discounts. They are nice to have. And if you're, you know, super flexible and you could just go at the drop of a hat, or you don't care where you go, then, you know, it's fine. I'm sure other agents take a lot more of these discounted stays. I want to go where I want to go. I don't want to go somewhere just because there's a discount. I also want to add that a lot of the resorts, in order to get a discounted stay, you have to have booked them X amount of times in the last year, or they all have their own stipulations. So I don't want you to think that you can just sign up to be a travel agent and just get all these things because it's really not like that. And then next question is, do you recommend staying at an all-inclusive within the first few months of the grand opening? I like to say you want to give it at least 6 to 12 months. You can get a really good price if you're going right at opening, but you also need to be aware that things are not going to be open. Everything is not going to be perfect. So I would recommend booking early before the resort is open to take advantage of those pre-opening specials, but booking it out later. Unless you're someone that wants to be the first one in the door because you just want to say you were the first person to walk in and see it, I like to go early-ish because I do want to see a new resort and I want to be able to tell my clients about it, but I'm not worried about being the first one in the door. At the end of the day, like, I'm still paying for it and I still want to have a good experience. So I would recommend waiting at least 6 months unless you're super, super easygoing and you do not care what the experience is going to be like. I just stopped off at Panera and got a blueberry lemonade. Did I get blueberry lemonade? Actually, now that I'm like thinking about it, I didn't order blueberry lemonade. I ordered agave lemonade, and I'm pretty sure this is the blueberry lavender lemonade, but it might be why they gave me an extra cup, because they gave me an extra cup, but this had my sticker on it, so I don't know. And then I got Kev an iced coffee. I'm gonna drop that off to him at work. I got some questions about Kev coming up. But the next one is, are there any months in the year you completely avoid travel? No. Hurricane season is half the year. That generally runs from June to November. So I still travel during those times. I recommend trip insurance whenever you travel, but definitely if you are going during hurricane season, I absolutely recommend that. But nope, there's no time that I would not travel. Fall is actually my favorite time to travel. There he is, everyone.
Here I am. My nice iced coffee.
I may have gone a little crazy with the pump,
Well,
so it may be a little sweet.
Good. I like sweet. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
To second to last day.
Have fun. Love you.
Love
Now that we got Kev his drink, we'll move on to the next question. What are your must-pack items? So this is hard because I feel like I need everything. I will pick 3. Straws, 100%. I don't go anywhere without straws. I use straws at home. I just love straws. So straws, number 1. A raft or a pool float, definitely. I want to sit. I don't want to be standing the whole day. I don't want necessarily the lay down one that a resort might provide. I may actually start going to only resorts that will allow me to bring my pool float. So like Excellence generally does not allow you to have a pool float, and I just don't like it. I want to float in the pool. And then lastly, I don't know, like, I guess maybe I would say for Kev, like his coffee holder, because he totally loves that. Next up is, how far out do you book your airfare? So I generally do that as soon as it comes out, so usually 11 months in advance. I am finding that in our post-COVID world that the airfare really does not decrease. Of course, there's always an exception to the rule, but I like to track my airfare, and I'm finding that it is a good price when it first comes out. And that's also how I choose a lot of my destinations, which I think is a question that's going to be coming up. So I will go into more detail on the next question. All right, next one. Do you want to travel outside the Caribbean in the future? And then would you ever go to Europe for a vacation? Yes, absolutely. So I really want to do Greece. I probably will do a Mediterranean cruise because I want to see a bunch. I want to go to Greece, I want to Croatia, I want to see a bunch of things. I have been to Spain and France. This year I could have gone to Scotland, Ireland, and England. My dad is going back for the 3rd year in a row and he invited me for my birthday, but September just wasn't going to work for me, so I could not go then. But yes, absolutely. I sell the Caribbean, so that's what I try to focus on. It's also very easy to get there. I can get to Mexico in 4 hours. I can get to a lot of the Caribbean destinations in 4 or 5 hours. So that's obviously so much easier than going across the pond. What's the next one? How far in advance do you book resorts? And is there an advantage to booking early? So this kind of goes hand in hand with the airfare. I generally like to book my airfare first and then I book the resort. I see a lot of situations with clients where they'll pick their dates and then they'll be like, oh, it's actually cheaper to go the following week. Can we swap it? So I try to avoid all of that. So unless I know my dates are 100% set in stone, regardless of what the flight prices are going to be, I book my airfare first and then I book the resort. So the answer to that is going to be, I'm going to be booked usually between 9 to 11 months in advance. And I just find that the prices are good early. They give you some early booking bonuses and you have all of the options available to you. What sells out first is generally the cheapest rooms and the most expensive or like the best rooms. So certainly if you're a family, definitely a family of 5 or up, those 2-bedroom suites sell out so fast. So I always tell my big families, you have to be booking as close to a year in advance as possible. Next one, we'll do what's your favorite resort? This is really hard because favorite for what? Like I have different favorites for different things, what I want to do, how long I'm going for, what my mood is, am I celebrating something? So it really depends. I also will never make a like what's the best resort video or like my top 5 because that's forever changing. It's always going to evolve. I find it much better to do like my favorites of the year instead of just doing like my favorite. So what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna pick 3, I think. And I'm gonna go with Hotel Ishkret Arte. I just think it's fabulous. So much to do, delicious food and drinks. I'm going to go Hammock Cove, Antigua, because it's just totally fabulous. And then I'm going to go Atelier Playa Mujeres because I think it's just a solid resort for the price point, great food, good service. I like it all. So I think those are going to be my top 3 favorites right now. But again, like it's just always evolving. There's a lot of factors that goes into being my favorite. Next one, I know you guys rented a house in Turks and Caicos in 2019. Would you ever consider going back and staying at a nice Grace Bay area resort? Absolutely. I talk about going back to Turks and Caicos probably every like 2 months or so. What holds me back is I like to go to an adults only resort and they just don't have those. The beach house was the only adults only all-inclusive that was there. That is no longer. So I'm just sort of hung up on what resort I would want to go to, especially because in 6 months my son is going to be 18 and I don't envision going to many family resorts after that. Next summer we will be doing a family resort, I think, for his senior trip, so we can open it up to friends, his girlfriend, anyone that might not be 18. But aside from that, I just love to do the adult only resorts. So yes, I do definitely want to go back to Turks and Caicos. I just don't know where we would stay. All right, we're cruising right along here. So this next question is probably my favorite, but it might be my most difficult to answer. So if you could make the perfect meal out of all the food you've had at all-inclusive resorts, what would it be from drink to dessert? So this is so hard because I have the worst memory, so I can't remember. So if you came to my house one time, I would remember for the rest of my life what your license plate number was. I have known my license number since I was 16 years old. Like, I can remember weird things, but if you were like, what did you eat for dinner on Monday? No clue. No clue. So it's gonna be really hard for me. But I'm gonna do favorite drink. I'm going to go with the coconut margarita at Atelier or the kiwi mojito at Majestic Elegance Costa Mujeres. For breakfast, I'm gonna go with the banana explosion from Atelier. Those waffles are so great. Lunch is hard. I'm not gonna choose a specific resort, but I'm going to pick fish tacos because I don't think I've ever had bad fish tacos at any resort, and that would definitely be my lunch pick. Or the buffet from Hotel Ishkrit Arte. Their buffet is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life, and it's so phenomenal. And that's saying a lot because I have gone to the biggest buffet in America, I think. The one, now I'm gonna forget the name because I'm doing this totally off the cuff, but it's in Rhode Island and it's like the biggest, maybe it's the biggest seafood buffet. I don't know, but I'll put in their name at the bottom, and it's so good. And now I think it's probably like $150 a person now, but they have lobster and I don't know, it's terrific, but I'm getting off on a tangent. Dinner is hard. Dinner is where I really get caught up because I just can't remember all the really great meals that I had. So like at Hotel Ishkrit Arte, the hibachi was out of this world. I love Chilean sea bass everywhere. So like Valentine Imperial, Excellence Coral. I think I had some really great steak at Secrets Playa Blanca. So this is where it's hard because I just like can't remember. Dessert, I'm going to go probably to Secrets Playa Blanca or Secrets Maroma. I believe both of those at their Asian restaurant, they have a fried banana dessert that's really good, or creme brulee, like anywhere. Those would be my favorites. So it's hard. I love the question, like totally love it. But then when you actually think about it, I don't know, because like I have had so much good food. So it's so hard. All right, what does Kevin do for a living? This one I think is so funny because it's one of the most asked questions, but we've talked about it a bunch. Kevin has actually filmed a vlog from work. So I'm just wondering if maybe like these are new people that are asking. I don't know. But Kevin works in education. He's currently in elementary education. In August, when the new school year starts, he will be going into his 20th year with the public school system. And he also bartends, so he bartends a few days a week, and that is where we get our tip money from. We've got 3 more to go, so let's get this done. What is the order of importance to you at an all-inclusive? Food, room, property aesthetics, activities, service. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. I would say that food is very important to me. The room is not that important as long as it's clean. I don't really care about the view. That sort of depends on the location, because if I'm going to a beach destination, so let's take Couples Slept Away in Jamaica, for example. I knew that I wanted the beachfront room. I wanted to walk out and be on the beach. However, if I go to just a big resort, let's just say I'm going to Mexico or the Dominican Republic, I really don't care what my view is. I'm more than happy to just get like a tropical or garden view room, because those resorts are a little bit bigger, and so the view may vary. I always tell my clients that ocean view is such a toss-up. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. Activities, I don't really care about activities at all. Like, I could go to a nursing home. Like, I don't care. Kevin does like activities, so I do try to pick something where I know he's not going to be totally bored. Service is important to me as well. However, we're very low maintenance, so like a butler would never be a consideration for me. I don't want to feel like I'm an inconvenience when I'm ordering a drink or food from someone. So I'm gonna go food as number one. It has to be like an overall good experience. There's a lot that goes into choosing a resort for me. And I think for everyone, I mean, you want to have an overall good experience. So yeah, I'd probably go food, service, and then just like the property, I guess. Just like, you know, you want stuff to do. You do want, you know, for Kev anyway, like he likes a coffee shop. That's usually something that he really wants. For activities, I don't really care. He likes to do volleyball. I like things like a cooking class or bike tour, bracelet making. I don't care. I think I've done volleyball 3 times in my life. Like those things don't interest me, but it does interest Kev. So I do try to pick something that we're both gonna like. Okay, this one I liked a lot. I take crap on trips because I don't go get coffee like Kev. Do you go to get him coffee when we're not looking? No. I think I have gotten him coffee at a resort twice. It's his thing. It's what he likes to do. He enjoys going to get the coffee. He has a rapport with the coffee ladies on the last day. They're always like fawning over him and they're so sad that he's leaving. It's just his thing. And I've been seeing recently over this past year, there's been quite a few comments where people are like sad for Kevin or saying like justice for Kevin because he's getting the coffee and I'm not getting him the coffee, which I think is so silly to be judging our relationship based on him doing something that he likes to do, and he likes to get the coffee for me. He does the same thing at home. I drink a Fairlife protein shake every morning, and every morning he brings it to me. If I'm not awake, he leaves it on the nightstand. That's just what he does. At resorts, he goes and he gets the coffee, and he also goes and gets the pool chairs. I do different things for him. So just like, for instance, like he does not pack a suitcase. Does not pack. He doesn't shop. He doesn't know what he's going to be wearing until I lay it out for him on the bed. When he's in the shower, he gets out and his outfit is laid out for him. You would never see that. Just last week for National Donut Day, I went and got donuts. I brought them to him at work. I brought him and his coworker a Blizzard. They wanted ice cream like 2 weeks ago. So obviously things aren't going to be televised in our whole life, but the Justice for Kev thing is so silly to me. You know, I make him breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day of his life. We just do different things. We have different jobs. I like to call them blue jobs versus pink jobs. We have a very traditional marriage, and there's things that he likes to do and there's things that I like to do. And also when we're at resorts with like the whole coffee thing, in the morning, I'm generally working, whether that's actually booking a client or just doing my social media for the day where I'm writing my recaps or deciding what we're gonna film for the day. So the morning time is kind of just where like I'm chilling and I'm like doing stuff, and he likes to go out and grab pictures and get his coffee, and he's like the coffee drinker. Like I'm not. Like I'll take 3 sips of whatever he brings me, but he like loves it and he likes to go and try all the different things. And then lastly, how do you choose your resorts to visit, and what are some of those that you're most looking forward to staying by the end of the year? So I always have a running list of where I would like to stay. Can't tell you where I'm staying for the rest of the year, but I always have a list. I actually don't think I have anything for 2026 yet, just because 2026 is totally up in the air for me. My son's going to be graduating high school. I just don't know what we're going to be doing. I do have April booked. I literally just booked my April vacation, like just like maybe 2 weeks ago. Aside from that, I don't know. I actually don't think I have anything on my short list. Usually I always have a running short list for multiple countries, and then that's how I generally will choose where I'm gonna go. I will have, let's say, 5 countries, and I'll punch in the airfare, and whichever has the cheapest airfare or the best times, then, so let's just say St. Lucia. So then I would go to my list of my short list for St. Lucia, and I would choose a resort that way. Let me see if I can find my 2025 short list, and then I'll tell you if I chose any of those. Where is it? Okay, 2025 possible resorts. So I made this March 31st, 2024, and my possible resorts were Tiaras Coral, Secrets Tides, Hyatt Zilara Cap Cana, Calabash Cove St. Lucia, Sonesta Ocean Point St. Martin, Iberostar Grand, and Excellence Coral. Those were what I put down, and we have already gone to Excellence Coral, and then we'll have to see what I go to. But so how I choose is like really just, it's generally by price with the flight. So like whichever flight has the best times is the cheapest, then I'll go into my list. Sometimes it's a new resort that I want to go and see. Sometimes it's just a resort that's been on my radar for a long time. Sometimes it's not been on my radar, but I've had a lot of clients go there and come back and have great feedback, and I'm like, okay, cool, I should go visit that. So I would say, actually, I can answer the one that I am most excited for. I'm actually not going to be vlogging. I'm not going to be vlogging. So that's the one that I'm most excited for, and I'm going for my birthday, and I'm not going to vlog, and that's why I'm the most excited for it, because I'm not going to be vlogging. I'm just going to be having an actual vacation like all of you guys get to have. So I think that's going to be it for these questions. If you liked this, give the video a thumbs up. If you have a question of your own, drop it down in the comments, and I will probably do another one of these in 6 months or so. Like I said, I usually do this on Facebook, so if you have Facebook or Instagram, go give Memories and Mojitos Travel a follow over there. But if this vlog does well, then I will also do it into a little vlog series so everyone can find out all about me and I can answer your burning questions. But I think this was fun. I will see you soon. The next vlog series is going to be Margaritaville Island Reserve Riviera Maya, and we are so excited to check that out. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.